Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E.G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
We are on minute 62 of Groundhog Day, which has Phil, stealing Phil. And a truck. And the cops, and Larry and Rita giving chase. First of all, Phil is walking over from where the van is parked, over to the truck. It's not a big distance, I don't think. The truck is about halfway up the block. The van is the first space at the end by the corner. So maybe 100 feet, I think. It's hard to tell in the shot, but Phil has a nice deliberate pace walking. As this minute begins, he's halfway to the truck. And Buster is got Punxsutawney Phil in a little cage on the side of the back of the truck, and he's talking to him. Last time he said, "All right, little fella." As we get into this minute, he says, "Good job." And then he says to the guy I call Goober, I don't think he has a name in the credits. I forget what he's credited as. He is in the credits, right?
I believe his name is Rod Sell, S-E-L-L, and he is credited simply as Groundhog Official.
I call him Goober. Buster says to Goober, "He just smiled at me. Did you see that?" And Goober says, "I believe he did." Buster says, "Okay, little fella, there you go." And he goes to put the cage in the truck. Buster turns around and starts talking to this young guy that has a car parked next to there. Which I don't know if this guy gets credited as anything in the credits. He doesn't have lines or anything, so he might not. He doesn't have a name, but young guy who's Buster's talking to, but Goober's still there as Phil gets to the truck. And Goober says, "Hi there, mister. Something I can do you for?" And then Phil, of course, doesn't even respond to Goober. He just opens the driver's side door and gets into the truck. I don't think I ever thought about this, but it just occurred to me, and I love that new things occur to me about the movie. Still, after seeing this movie upwards of 450 times, or around 450 times, I don't know the exact number anymore. Or not. It's not anymore. I know the exact number since 2013. Actually, no, I think that might be iffy based on a few things, because I've watched it some extra times, and going through a minute at a time is also watching it. So does that count? I don't know. But all the times watching it never occurred to me. Phil just gets into the truck. He knows the keys are there. That implies to me this isn't the first time he stole the truck. Or he planned this yesterday. He watched Buster and Goober to see that they leave the keys in the truck. Because he gets in and drives away. By the end of this minute, he's leaving town. So in a very little amount of time, yes, there's editing, so that compresses the time a bit. But he doesn't hotwire the thing. Immediately once he's in there and driving away, Buster realizes something's wrong and yells for Jake, the cop nearby. Wait, did I say Goober's other line? Because after he says something I can do you for, he says, Hey, what are you doing? And then got Buster yelling for the cop across the street over by the courthouse. "Jake, get the word out. Somebody kidnapped Phil. We're going after him." And they drive after him, and we get some shots of Phil drives out of the square at the southwest corner, heading south. If he does turn left at that next corner outside the square, he's going to be on the same street where he crashed into the big groundhog and go toward the train tracks. Interestingly, extra police cars are coming, and I'm not sure they've had time to radio anyone, and they come speeding around into the square like they were just right nearby, ready to go, which is a little convenient, but whatever. Then, because this movie likes to just shoot where they want to shoot in the reality of Woodstock, the shot we get of them like cutting around where it's like the edge of a gas station, they are coming north and then turning east. So they couldn't have gotten there from here without going a giant ass circle. But, it's playing with space and time. It's a movie. It does that. By the end of this minute, I forget the timing of the shots here because I just watched the minute once this time. Didn't take any notes, because that is how season 3 is working. If this is your first episode, thank you. Go back and listen to the rest of them. Yesterday I had a whole rant about politics and the state of the world. It was crazy. I was deep in my feelings yesterday, just like Phil was. But I ain't stealing a groundhog today. I'm instead gonna grade some rough drafts and maybe make my students play pop culture trivia to decide their speech order for next week. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna go home and watch some movies. Or a movie and some TV. I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get there. Where was I? At some point, we cut to inside the van with Rita and Larry, and Rita says, "Why would anybody steal a groundhog?" And Larry, of course, because he's Larry, says, "I can probably think of a couple of reasons. Pervert." Okay, Larry. Why is that where your mind goes? Maybe Phil just really likes groundhogs. Oh, no, that could go to the pervert thing too, couldn't it? Yeah, you don't know. Although you did literally just... Larry, do you record the reports and not listen to them? No, because you responded. You shook your head when he asked if you had a problem with what he was saying, which means you were listening to what he was saying. So you know that just, like, at this point it's probably half hour ago-ish, your time, maybe a little more, we don't know, maybe a little less, that Phil recorded a report ostensibly to be broadcast later on the news in which he said the groundhog had to be stopped. And you think it's a sex thing? I think that tells us more about you, Larry, than it tells us about Phil or what's happening. The end of this minute, we'll keep this episode short and get into more of the car chase next time, is, actually we got nothing but car chase for the next couple minutes, right? Yeah. It's going to be fun. See what there is to talk about without research about even the type of truck this is. Although I've surely said that before, or you can look up on the Internet Movie Car Database and find that. They also sell a little, like, Matchbox-sized toy of this. I don't think it's Matchbox brand, but it's that size. I don't have one. I should get one. Or bigger one, if there is a bigger one. Yeah, I should have a model list. I do have a Phil Connors, I was going to say action figure, but he's the size of a Barbie. It's a doll. I made him, sort of. I took a Peter Venkman figure where you could remove the jumpsuit like it was actual cloth. Took off the jumpsuit, changed the shoes. I bought a X-Files Fox Mulder suit because X-Files also has a thing. I guess I could have found a Ken from Ken and Barbie suit, but I think I was having trouble finding a good one. But they had a Fox Mulder suit on some net on eBay, so I got that. So Phil is wearing a Fox Mulder suit. Then the hard thing to find was a long coat. No one had as long a coat as Phil's is. But I did get a long-ish coat that goes to Ken. And then I needed a microphone. I should paint the microphone I got. Barbie, actually, I bought a little set on eBay of like 5 microphones. And so like slightly different designs of microphones for Barbie. And they have this little like extra loop piece that goes around the hand to hold it in place. What I should do is paint the loop piece to match the flesh of Phil's hands and paint the microphone to look like a mic. Actually, maybe I'll do that tonight. If I think of it. If I remember it.
Insert narrator from Arrested Development. He didn't. I'm gonna guess I still could.
But then the rest, the Venkman figure came with exchanged hands, so he has gloves or he has regular hands. You can pop the hands out. So I put the regular hands on. And the shoes, I think, might have come with the suit. But they actually didn't quite fit the Venkman figure, so I had to put a little slice in the back of the shoe so that they'd go on. It was like I was dealing with a corpse. If you don't know anything about dressing people for a funeral, the outfit you give them to put on the body is probably going to be split down the back. Because it's not easy to put clothes on a corpse. The more you know. In case I didn't insert the music. There's the music. Why was I talking about the doll? Oh, because I said I wanted the truck. Yeah. Right, without doing research, there's not a lot to talk about in the chase, but we'll get some good dialogue. I do have a backstory that I remember, part of it, like a behind-the-scenes thing, which I'll tell you about next time. About Bill Murray and the groundhog. Scooter. Right? That's his name? Scooter? Yeah. Groundhog that's in the movie. I think probably there's a couple groundhogs we see in the movie, but they only credit one. The final thing to talk about this minute before I go, and go listen to the episode in season 2, because I get into it a lot in detail, is that there's a common goof on IMDb, and I've heard it elsewhere, where people say that this tunnel that they drive through right at the end of this minute, that tunnel, by the way, the train tracks are on top of it. And this is how, if you curve, this road curves around to the right and does go over to the highway. And this was how I left town and came into town every day that I was in Woodstock back in 2014 because my hotel was off this direction. Technically, my hotel might have been outside of Woodstock. It was right by the highway. But then I would drive into Woodstock and find somewhere to park and spend the day doing stuff. But people say that the news van wouldn't fit through this tunnel. So back in season 2, I found it was hard to find. Because finding the specific measurement of this tunnel, I found an official measurement, but then I'm like, is that the measurement at the highest part in the middle, or is that the measurement at the edge? How do they measure this thing? And so taking the actual photos of the arch and calculating proportions of the various sizes, I then had to go figure out from the real bridge, and I found an old source from when it was built, when they built this little tunnel, this little arch for the train to go over, and details about the size of it and the width of it and all this other stuff. Put all this math together. Go listen to the episode in season 2, because I believe, unless I'm just completely blowing my own mind here, I believe I came to the conclusion that the van would absolutely fit under it. I also went and figured out the exact measurements of that model of van and how tall the antenna thing on top of it would be, how tall it is in the images we see of it, taking proportions of an image of the van from the side, which last minute we got a great side view of the van. So it was easy to do the measurement. I actually went by the measurements between the wheelbases because you could look up that exact measurement of the real van and then use that to measure the height. And so I could approximate the height of where the top of the antenna is. And if they're speeding through, would it be dangerous? Yes, I believe the van would hit the side of the tunnel. But in the middle, if Larry just slowed down a little for the turn and then caught up to the police and Phil, he would have made it. But also, we don't see them drive through the tunnel, so I don't fucking care. Before I get out of here for this minute, I just gotta have one more battle in the war against the people who write IMDb goofs, because you all are a bunch of normal? You're a bunch of abnormal assholes. Just like me. I'm an abnormal asshole. Or maybe I'm a normal asshole. Or an abnormal not asshole. Whatever. They're like, oh, it wouldn't fit. Okay, maybe it didn't fit. Because we don't see the van drive through the tunnel. You assuming that it does drive through there is just a trick of editing. You assume that the next shot is happening right after the previous shot. Did you not pay attention that before they came through the tunnel, they were driving around a turn around a gas station? Do you think the tunnel is right next to there? I mean, it is close, but I think it's actually a couple of blocks away. And then they were driving in a residential zone when literally the shot before that, they were driving in the town square. There is time passing in between these shots. We aren't watching the entire car chase because that's not the fucking point to this. It is a geographic mess of wibbly-wobbly time and space manipulation because this is a film. This is not real life. Even if the van would not fit through the tunnel, it is not a goof on the movie's part because the movie does not tell you that the van fit through the tunnel. I love that I'm ranting about this one. Anyway, the truck drives through the tunnel at the end of this minute, and do we see the police car go through the tunnel before this minute ends? No, I forgot. But the police car follows. We do not see the van go through it, but next time we see them, yes, the van is still behind the police car, which is behind the truck. They could have caught up. They could have sped. Phil's not driving that fast, necessarily. He's just trying to stay ahead of the cops. That's it. He's not going super dangerous high speeds. He doesn't need to. These are the local cops out of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. As far as we know, they only have the 3 police cars. I didn't see a number on the one that Jake was by, so I don't know which car is which. I say there's 3 in case you haven't been keeping up with the show, because I'm pretty sure the production only had 3 cars, because we do see numbers on them at the end of the beginning and end of the car chase on day 3, where Phil is with Ralph and Gus in Ralph's car. But anyway, that's enough for this minute. It's one of the longer ones now. So sorry. Next minute, we'll get more car chase. We'll get some great lines, memorable ones that people quote a lot. And Phil and the groundhog in the truck. That's where we are. In the meantime, go rant about something. What is that thing you're just dying to say a bunch about? Go do it. Don't be mean to people. Unless they deserve it. Saying in the last episode, telling people to break stuff. Try to take care of people. Take care of yourself.
You knew you were gonna say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?